Let's settle for the details now. The Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, is disposing of items worth 10 million cedis confiscated at the port. Speaking to a section of the media, Head of Intelligence, FDA, Vigil Edward Pra-Eshan, disclosed that some 10 persons have been arrested in connection with this. The following report has more.
The safe disposal of seized and substandard products by the Enforcement Directorate of the Food and Drugs Authority include Postino 2, penicillin ointment, gentleman capsules, benylin codeine, among other items. Addressing the media before the products were sent for destruction, the head of intelligence at FDA, Vigil Edward Pra-Eshan, tells journalists the items worth 10 million cedis were fake products, which have been smuggled into the country but for the diligence of the team at the country's port. He added that 3 million out of the 10 million cedis worth of products were fake Postino 2 from China.
We invited you here today to witness an exercise that we're doing as a result of seizures that we've done in the past 3 months. This makes it unique because we've been able to intercept some banned products, codeine, benylin with codeine, and huge amount of Postino 2. This oral contraceptive for women, and then some medical devices, herbal medicines, and aphrodisiacs, which we bought online, and ended up arresting those behind it. And in total, we're destroying products worth about 10 million Ghana cedis.
Meanwhile, Mr. Pra-Eshan stated that 10 persons have been arrested and are facing the full rigors of the law. However, the person behind the fake Postino 2 from China is on the run.
We have men at the borders. As much as possible, they try to stop these people. But some of them are quite smart. They are able to outwit their officers. And for that reason, we have men in country. I mean, those who go out on daily basis to observe the situation on the ground. We periodically plan raids with the police. We arrest those doing business in such products. For instance, about a month ago, with the help of the Drug Law Enforcement Unit, we were able to arrest a lot of such traders at the Okanshi, Tudu, and Aflawa Station.
Away from that, popular event center, the Underbridge in East Legon, has been locked up by the enforcement team of the Ghana Revenue Authority. The action follows the inability of managers for the facility to register for the payment of value-added tax VAT. The day's operation is part of a VAT invigilation exercise being undertaken by the authority to claim all taxes on the state. Here's a report.
The action forms part of moves by the Commissioner General to ensure that taxpayers honor their obligations to the state. Popular Event Center, the Underbridge, has been operating for more than 2 years without registering with the Ghana Revenue Authority.
East Legon. We had an intel that Underbridge Event Center had not registered. So then we sent officers to confirm the intel report that we received. And it was confirmed that they were not registered. That was last week.
The team moved next to the Tama Industrial Area and Fishing Harbour, where numerous cold store businesses have been operating with fake VAT invoices. About 4 cold stores were locked up, whilst the managers were arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department officials attached to the exercise. Here is Accra Central Enforcement Manager of the GRA, Joseph Annan.
And we are currently at Techi Yard. We were able to visit 3 of them who were doing selective issuance of the VAT invoice. Those 3, they are registered all right. Some are even using the till. As to whether they have the dispensation or not, we are yet to find out. But for now, the focus is whether you are issuing the VAT invoice or not. And for them, there is evidence that they are registered, but they are doing selective issuance. which is also still against the law.
At Tema Community 9, Chief Executive of Josh Nate Ventures, Joseph Nate, was arrested for issuing fake VAT invoices. Despite having some concerns, the team arrested him for the offense and locked up the facility.
My register for VAT, I register for VAT, but any VAT invoice na ena mika sanity.
I have VAT receipt, but I don't issue or I have registered for the VAT. But because of the marginal profit, just about 1 cedis, 2 cedis, I can't be issuing VAT invoice or VAT receipt to everyone because it will take up all the profit.
To me issue be, me issue be VAT invoice in me trobi, but in any na mitro. Sana mbesa. Oh, there be many omundia chinyibia. A chinyibia semi to many omundia chinyi.
At Techi Yard in the fishing harbour area, some managers got the information about the operation and locked up their stores, leaving their customers and vehicles on the compound. Here is Joseph Annan again.
Unfortunately, the main yard has about 8 of them. But word went round. So when we got in here, they've all vanished. Techi Yard. They've locked out the place. But for us, like I always say, we are on the field. We'll always be knocking at doors. So if you run today, then you run forever, because we will surely come and knock at your door. The issue is when we are coming. It's not about if, it is when.
He has further disclosed to Joy Business that the operation, which has begun for more than a month, has been very impactful since the authority has been able to retrieve more than 200,000 cedis from recalcitrant taxpayers.
No,
The profit margins of some local businesses is likely to witness further squeeze following the hike in policy rates. Yesterday's announcement of the 250 basis point hike is the highest policy rate increase since 2017. The central bank cited threats to inflation and growth. But how is this decision going to impact on the money market and your investment for that matter?
We can look at it from two perspectives. One, this is not going to only impact the government because when you raise interest rates, what it means is that cost of funding or cost of borrowing for the government is going to go up and further constrict our already very tight fiscal space. And moving away from the government and the private sector is going to have a massive impact. If you look at companies are already struggling with FX depreciation and high inflation, which is actually squeezing their margins, their profit margins to be specific. So this is also going to add to the higher pressures that companies are actually contending from inflation and the currency pressures. What we are likely to see going forward is that companies that have some significant leverage in terms of debt in their capital structure are going to spend a bit more in interest expenses. So we are likely to see profit margins squeeze even further. Looking at the trend of interest rates on the market currently. Because as you know, for the past year, we have seen some of the leading companies in Ghana actually struggling to cope with the high cost pressure that we are seeing both globally and also domestically. We've seen that filtering through the financial performance of some of the leading companies like Farm Milk, like Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited on the market, and even Unilever, which is probably the hardest hit company on the stock market. So, Daryl, looking ahead, I think it's not looking quite pretty at this moment for companies.
Now, employers will now have a verification system to enable them fact-check the backgrounds of employees. That's according to Chief Executive of Morrison Records Bureau, Emmanuel Morrison. Over the years, most companies have had to face lawsuits due to failure to run detailed checks of all information supplied in resumes and curriculum vitae, especially referee details, employment records, and educational backgrounds. But the launch of Morrison Records Bureau seeks to bridge the gap between cost-effective and efficient background and data checks.
Morrison Records Bureau is a subsidiary of US-based Morrison Corporation LLC that seeks to ride on government's digitalization agenda by helping companies prioritize verification identity, education, work, history, reference checks, criminal records, and a myriad of other security services per demand. Emmanuel Morrison is Chief Executive of Morrison Records Bureau.
This is a background verification company, and we are actually working hand in hand with all the various institutions to get the digitization actually to light. So Ghana Card today, as we all know, has actually come to stay, and believe it or not, it is one of the best things that has happened that will help streamline our processes of how we do our talent acquisition. So we are here today to actually help this process go on, and we are bringing a central hub which will actually get all data queried together. So say if you want to maybe travel and then you go to the embassies and they want to know, and usually they ask you for police clearance. The police today actually go through manual processes to do all these things, and we are working hand in hand with the police department to actually digitize this and all these processes to automate them.
Country Director for Human Resource Certification Center, Dr. Jeff Bassi, explained that most companies are victims of lawsuits because there are no law requirements to conduct background checks of employees. He advised that in the interim, employers rely on external fact-checking companies.
In other jurisdictions, there's always this bureau that is a one-stop place. I recognize the great contribution our security agencies are making to the development of this country, but truth be told that sometimes when we rely on the police, for instance, for some of these clearance forms, you almost can predict what the outcome will be. I had advised a few of my clients to want to engage, agencies of the sort who have the time, the expertise, who are, if you may, acquainted with the contemporary regulation to do some of this work. And one such company is Morrison.
Now, away from that, organizations have been urged to exhibit customer-centric services in their daily operations, since customers are key to the survival of their entities. According to the country director of British Council Ghana, businesses cannot last if they do not patronize or prioritize the importance of customers. He was speaking at the Customer Service Open Day celebration of his outfit. Here's a report.
Customer service is celebrated on the first week of every October. The country director of British Council Ghana, Chikodi Onyemerela, said the council value customer service and its impact on today's organizations and businesses.
Customer service and customer centricism is our second nature here at the British Council, and not just what we do within a week. We do truly understand that our customers, be it our exams customers, test takers, program customers, suppliers, contractors, and internal customers, of course, my fellow British Council colleagues, it's why we do cultural relations business, which we pride ourselves for. We do also recognize that corporates, high and mighty, rises and falls because of how they understand their customers and manage their temperaments, voices, their feelings, and response to all of this.
Mr. Onyemerela urged businesses to prioritize feedbacks from customers and incorporate them in their strategy going forward to avert collapse.
And what the customers need. And not just understanding what the customers need, the time we are in. Because I think the problem some of them have, particularly Nokia, is that the market moved faster than Nokia. While some other brands like Samsung and Apple are enjoying the frenzy of the moment, some organizations are not meeting up that speed. So to respond to you directly, organizations should.
The event featured a symposium of presentations on cultural engagement and exams work, and an exhibition that showcases the activities and initiatives in Ghana.
GCB Bank PLC has officially unveiled a range of Visa business cards as the bank's response to the ever-increasing innovation within the banking sector and the fast-changing customer needs that have emerged. Commenting on the rationale for the new GCB business cards, the Executive Director of Wholesale and Investment Banking, Mr. Sam Edu, explained that the bank aims to keep step with the rampant changes within the sector.
According to the Executive Director of Wholesale and Investment Banking at GCB Bank PLC, Sam Edu, the bank has embarked on a market dominance strategy anchored around three strategic pillars, namely profitability and growth, operational excellence, people and talent. He added that GCB Bank will continue to demonstrate strong market awareness and the agility to continue developing customer-centric that meets and exceeds customers' expectations. He hopes that the new GCB Visa business cards will help push Ghana's move towards a cashless society and help mitigate the risk of carrying bulk cash for business transactions.
A cashless or cash-light economy and the use of business cards will help mitigate the risk of carrying bulk amount of cash and help businesses to track expenses and digitize business payments. Business cards also provide peace of mind to business owners by enabling them to implement robust controls around the use of business cards. Furthermore, they help businesses with the separation and categorization of business expenses for tax and other record keeping. It is because of these factors that GCB Bank PLC has introduced the GCB Visa business debit and business prepaid cards to help drive Ghana's cashless agenda and give businesses the convenience, safety, and the security associated with digital expenses.
On his part, the head of commercial banking at GCB Bank PLC, George Fauci, explained that the GCB Visa business cards available in debit and prepaid options have been designed to serve the needs of commercial banking, MSME, and corporate clients.
The GCB Visa business cards have been designed to suit the needs of our commercial banking clients, micro and small enterprises. The cards come in two types: the Visa Business Debit Cards and the Visa Business Prepaid Card. The GCB Visa Business Cards would provide our clients a convenient access to business funds for the payment of bills, making purchases, and withdrawing cash. The cards are PIN and chip enabled to ensure safety and security and can be used to make payments online.
To reaffirm the bank's commitment to delivering long-term value to customers, GCB Bank has established strategic partnerships with various merchants and partners to give GCB business cards holders discounts of up to 15% on their purchase.
Some enterprises are embarking on another round of layoffs due to the rising cost of doing business and the challenging economic environment. A similar move was undertaken by businesses during the height of COVID-19 last year. They say that this is the best option for now to prevent them from shutting down their operations. Mark Bedu-Aboagye is Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and he has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
Let's look at the balance to ensure that even though we are satisfying our external investors, we also will not do things that will affect the private sector of the country. External investors usually will bring money, but the productive sector should be taken care of. If you satisfy the external investors and you kill businesses, definitely they will lay off people. And recently, one of our members was complaining that he's only operating just about 20%, and he has to lay off people.
Oh, that is happening. The layoffs are happening.
Yes, they are
still happening.
Yes, they're happening.
As it has to do with the cost of credit or the inflation that is weighing into it.
It's a combination. is an accumulation of the various factors that affect businesses.
Inflation is one.
Inflation,
cost of credit is one.
33.9. CD depreciation, 40%. Cost of credit is now about 35%. Fuel prices are going up. Recently, they have increased electricity. They have increased water.
So the cost of doing business is now forcing some of your members to do another round of layoffs again.
Yes.
Because we thought that the COVID was the first round of layoffs.
Yes.
Now there's another second round of layoffs going on right now,
but
because of all these things.
If they can't produce, there's no need keeping.
What about cutting down your costs? Some will say that when you business owners, we are always the first casualties when some of these things are there. You still have a CEO or top directors with very, very, very heavy compensation package. Why can't they? Okay, why can't you do that to try and save some of us?
Where are you cutting the costs? We are producing, we are providing the services. And in fact, a lot of CEOs for some time now would have even suspended some of their benefits just because they want to be able to sustain themselves and sustain businesses. Now is not the time for any CEO to say that I'm even buying a big car or I'm even building a new house. This is the time for every business person, every rational business person will now look at how to sustain the business, how to survive.
Let's take some updates from the stock markets with Patrick Gama.
Let's go.
On the stock market this week, 21 equities exchanged hands coupled with new gold ETF recording the biggest move. Total volumes traded fell greatly by 86% week on week, whilst values traded dropped marginally by 2%. MTN Ghana recorded 82% of volumes traded as new gold ETF dominated values traded by 87%. The GSE Composite Index recovered slightly to a year-to-date of negative 11.76%, while the Financial Stock Index lost grounds to close at a year-to-date of negative 3.81% on the back of SIC. New Gold ETF gained 14.94 Ghana cedis to close at 181.44 Ghana cedis, as Bob gained 42 pesos to close at 6.9 Ghana cedis per share. SIC was the sole loser by losing a peso to close at 32 pesos per share.
Patrick Edemagama there, ending the bulletin for us this evening. Thank you so much for your company. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com.